Watch what's approaching, the supreme moment. Reality striking closer than it seems, don't it? Go ahead, it's for the taking if you want it. If not, the dream dies and you'll be forever haunted. Then confront it.
What's good? I'm actually surprised I haven't tested this unit up until now, but this guy is actually a perfect unit for this particular stage, which is the Goku's Family stage of Infinite Dragon Ball history. So definitely want to see how this unit does. Again, as always, definitely make sure to leave a like. If you're new to the channel, definitely hit the subscribe button. But let's go into the detail of this physical Vegeta unit. So again, the leader skill, I mean, it's pretty good. Vegeta's family category key plus 3 HP attack and defense increase of 120%, or 90% HP attack and defense lead, and key plus 3 for physical types. However, the benefit of this unit on this particular stage comes from both the super attack and the passive skill. So super attack ability raises attack and defense and causes supreme damage to enemies. So obviously, the longer this battle goes on, the more higher stats you can get with the attack and defense with the Kaioken mechanic, so to speak. Now with the passive skill, it's key plus 1 at the start of each turn, and then attack increases 60% when there's a Goku's Family category enemy, and then attack and defense increases 90% when performing a super attack, key plus 6, and defense increases 60% when HP is 60% or less. So again, this guy is pretty much at, I wouldn't necessarily call it an advantage, but he definitely performs much better when you're facing a Goku's Family category enemy. And of course, on this stage, you're essentially only facing those types of enemies. So, you know, given that in mind, definitely a pretty good unit. Now, to get the full benefit of the attack and defense variations of boost, you do have to make sure that, you know, not only do you perform the super attack, you also have to have that HP level 60% or less. So before that super attack activates, so if you receive any attacks incoming before the super attack activates, you'll notice that the damage taken is quite higher versus upon the super attack activating. So that is the clear distinction with that. And you're going to see two variations of team builds. So I made sure to include two different setups. The first part you're going to see with the Conquest of Terra category team, and then the second half with the Vegeta's Family setup. The reason why I wanted to include not just Vegeta's Family, but also Conquest of Terra, one, you know, the guy falls into the category, so it's obviously a very, very good category. So I was honestly curious how he would perform. Now, I did have him linked up with the Turles unit for the most part. The thing about Turles, as much as I love that unit, he's a little bit of a liability on this stage, especially against the Tech Goku unit that you do face. Pretty much normal attacks you can receive up to 100,000. Super attack, you can pretty much kiss your ass goodbye. That's probably the best way to summarize having Turles on a team against that Tech Goku unit, because not only does Goku potentially dodge attacks, also does deal a lot of damage as well. So that is one frustrating component of bringing the Turles unit, but links up pretty well with Vegeta, and obviously Turles provides support. So instead of bringing like the transforming Super Saiyan Vegeta, or the, I don't know, what's another one that fell in that category, like I can't remember exactly, but I basically omitted certain units like that and just included Turles as kind of the main linking buddy for this particular team setup. But Vegeta's Family is definitely a lot more flexible, and you'll see that in the second half. But yeah, I mean, given the fact that you do have to have HP levels 60% or below to get that further increase of 60% in defense, as well as that key boost, it's a little bit of a risk to take, especially even in this type of setting. But you know, once that applies, you can pretty much tank a lot of the attacks. I think, you know, in retrospect, thinking about it, the counterpart Kaioken Goku unit has pretty much the passive skills flipped. So in this sense, on Infinite Dragon Ball history, I think he probably has a better skill set setup, because, you know, you don't necessarily need to have the HP 60% or below to get that defensive boost. Essentially, for Goku, you get a 60% increase to attack if HP is 60% or below. So obviously, he gets better offensively, but in these types of events, I mean, defense is definitely your #1 offense, you know what I mean? So that's pretty much the way I look at it. But either way, I mean, these guys do pretty well, and you know, Vegeta definitely stacked up a decent enough amount to where you are sitting some pretty good attack and defensive stats. So overall, pretty solid unit. on this category, especially on the Goku's Family stage of Infinite Dragon Ball history. So again, we're switching to the Vegeta's Family category setup. So you saw the attack and defensive stats starting off at roughly about 40,000 for defense, and I think it was about 120,000 for attack. So the good thing about this setup is a lot of units do have links like Saiyan Pride and whatnot. So I mean, Saiyan Pride itself is 15% to attack, and then you have links like Prodigies, that's another 10% to attack. Along with that, you have various links like Royal Lineage and stuff like that. For the most part, Prepare for Battle is is a link skill that a lot of units have as well. So definitely things are a little bit easier. And even though the Super Intelligent Super Vegeta unit links up very well with the physical Vegeta, I ended up pretty much shifting the focus toward the mid-range to the latter part of the battle with the Easy Tech Super Saiyan Vegeta, because in a way they kind of complement each other if you think about it, because of course the physical Vegeta gets a defensive boost if HP is 60% or below. Now the Tech Vegeta is pretty interesting because upon receiving the Easy A, in case you didn't know, the unit does have the ability to stack up defense, so you're able to raise defensive levels with every super attack. Along with that, you do get you get an additional attack increase of 30% up to 120%, and chance of performing a critical hit 7% up to 35% at the start of each turn when HP is 80% or below. So this unit is also HP dependent in terms of maximizing the potential. So these two in a way pair up pretty decent, and obviously defense is more of the focus for these two units when running on an event like this. So they certainly seem to complement each other quite a bit, and they don't necessarily share the Saiyan Pride link skill, so you're missing out on 15% of attack links. But outside of that, I mean, really they're more defensive than they are offensive, especially the Tech Super Saiyan Vegeta. So I think it's okay. In terms of this guy, obviously he also raises attack levels along with defense with every super attack, so he can become quite an offensive weapon. But yeah, I mean, it's all about balancing between attack and defense. I think, especially in this type of stuff, like I like insurance policies where I can depend on defensive tanks to be able to survive attacks. You know what I mean? So this team overall works out pretty well. I mean, you've got a fair amount of units that raise defense with super attacks, like you saw the Exchange Trunks and Vegeta unit. Transforming Trunks obviously stacks up defense as well. The only anomaly that I would consider in the team right here is the Intelligence Super Vegeta unit. So that unit, the passive skill where you maximize the attack and defense depends on how high the HP levels are. So it's kind of a flip between the two different Vegeta units, right? One is dependent on having HP 60% or below, whereas the higher HP you have, the better the unit is. So it's kind of like a give or take, double-edged sword, compromise situation where you kind of have to shift focus on one or the other. But outside of that, I mean, the team works out pretty well, I think, in my opinion. And it was definitely, I think, a little bit smoother run on the Vegeta's Family category versus the Conquest of Terra. I think, the Conquest of Terra, ultimately it just comes down to Turles being a little bit of a liability. For the most part, the units on the Vegeta's Family team did quite well. Individually, they did quite well, and they all seem to complement each other a little bit better than the Conquest of Terra category setup. So in comparison to the two team variations, that's probably what I would say and derive the notion of. But both categories are great. This guy fits in pretty well with either one. But obviously, Vegeta's Family, you're going to find a lot more commonalities with the other units on the category. But even on the Conquest of Terra team, he does quite well. I don't think the problem is, I don't think he links well at all with the Transforming Cooler unit. So you will have to find, a linking situation where whoever Vegeta is linking with links well with the Transforming Cooler unit. So like units that have like Thirst for Conquest, whatever, and along with sharing links with Vegeta, that's probably what I would recommend. But outside of that, you're not really going to run into too many issues. Again, I don't know if you would always want to run Vegeta. I think you could easily find replacements, but this guy is definitely made for this type of event. And speaking of which, I might end up testing the Kaioken Goku version on the Vegeta's Family stage, just because that unit is pretty much made for that as well. So it'll be interesting to see the counterpart unit tested on the the other category stage, yeah, I mean, I guess it is a category stage, but essentially the Vegeta's Family category stage with the Kaioken Goku unit. So now that I think about it, I'll probably end up doing that. So you guys can definitely stay tuned, and hopefully I can get that out at some point. But again, this is the testing of the physical Vegeta unit on the Goku's Family category stage of Infinite Dragon Ball history. Hopefully you guys enjoy the video. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Alright, peace out.